This is Road to the Golden Door, where we unpack the proven success formula straight from the minds of Golden Door winners, uncovering the motivation, methods, and the mindset it takes to become an elite performer in door-to-door sales and in life. This is Road to the Golden Door. Now, here's your host, Mikey Lucas.
Welcome back, Road to the Golden Door. So today we've got another outstanding individual, Tristan Smith. He's been in the industry for the last few years. Looking forward to interviewing him, and I did see that he was just on I believe the Door to Door Experts podcast, and just dropped some nuggets. So super excited to be able to interview Tristan today. So Tristan, welcome to the show. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here. Let's go, man. Let's go. Cool. So for everybody that doesn't know Tristan Smith, why don't you tell us who you are, man?
Yeah. My name's Tristan. I'm 24 years old. I work for a small local company in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio specifically. I sell pest control door to door.
Awesome. You said you're 24 years old?
24.
Why do I feel like pest control is a young man's game?
It seems that way.
Nice. So you're born and raised out in Ohio?
Yep.
And you've been with Essential Pest Control, and you said they're a lawn care company as well, yeah?
So they were. The lawn care company was sold back in 2020, right when COVID hit.
Nice.
And then shortly after, about mid 2020, and then we started the pest control. 2021 is when we started the pest control.
Awesome. And we were just talking off mic. It kind of sounds like it's one of those good old boy deals. So tell me what it's been like the last 7 years you've been with these guys, and why what about these guys you like so much, and why you've been with them for so long?
Yeah, so I'm connected to these guys through a church. I've known them my whole life. It actually is a crazy story. My brother worked for them in the lawn care company. I started with them when I was about 16, and just cold calling over the phone, doing some door knocking here and there. And then I helped them grow the lawn care company. I think it got up to about 14,000 customers is what we ended with in the Dayton area. So at that point, we were the biggest lawn care company in the Dayton area. And that was going really well. COVID kind of struck, and they didn't really know what was going to happen. A lot of local businesses around here were shutting down, big and small. So a company called True Green made an offer that they, just thought was the best way to do it. And the only thing to fall back on that was even close to lawn care was pest control. We knew really nothing about it, but these guys really just, they've molded me into a killer, I guess I should say. Is, I'm a very an introverted person naturally. And, they've helped me bring out the salesperson side and taught me how to sell, taught me, just certain things that I wouldn't have gotten working at Burger King or McDonald's and stuff like that I can now translate into, anything else in life that I want. So, these guys are my closest friends, and they've helped me a ton. So I've stuck with them and helped them grow their businesses.
It's interesting. Tell me about that. Like, you said you met them through a church. Does that mean you go to church, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So we're Apostolic Pentecostal. That's our religion. So we've all been in the same area for, obviously they're about 10 years older than me, both of them, a little over. So I was just a kid growing up knowing them, and then obviously I knew them through my brother who worked for them, my older brother, and we've just they kind of took me under their wing and molded me. So
awesome. Are you have you always gone to church growing up, or what was that like? What was your experience like?
Yeah. Yep. So I was, what do they say? Born in a pew, is what they say. So yeah, I was, I've been a part of the church my whole life.
Awesome. Well, how has that affected like your outlook on, I guess you could say the current situation with America right now? How does how's that playing in your life right now?
Yeah, one thing I always try to do is I try to keep God close to my family, keep it close to my marriage with my kids, teaching my kids that it is good to pray. It is good to have that good relationship. It's super important, and it helps me kind of, yeah, I don't want to say turn a blind eye to what's going on in America, but it helps me cope through and not be so dismantled, I guess I should say, by what's going on in the country and in the world today.
That's a really good point. Yeah, we are not citizens of this world. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I see the world crumbling around us, but our hope is not in where moth and rust can rot away, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I should probably. It's funny because I just did I mean, obviously it's the beginning of the year right now. It's January currently when we're filming this, but um, I did a debrief of last year in 2022, and I was like, wow, like the video that did the second best was about success and spirituality. And that made me wonder, because I've got a bunch of courses, and I've got the Golden Door formula, and I've got the American Energy Fund and my coaching stuff, and I was like, man, like I was thinking about like putting out either like a free course or like a small ticket item for how to become a successful Christian business owner, how to become a successful Christian entrepreneur. And this past weekend, I was at an event, and one of my mentors, Cole Hatter, he's got an organization that helps run. He's got a mastermind that helps start what's called a for-purpose business. So basically, you sell pest control or solar or roofing, whatever you sell, real estate, whatnot, and you donate a portion of the proceeds, whether that be financially, your time, your talent, your resources, or your network, into some sort of a church, charity, or cause. And
Wow.
I was realizing this past weekend, I was like, man, like I need to be more vocal about that. If there's anything that I'm going to be more vocal about this year, is going to be the for-purpose side of my business. And
Yeah.
we've put up solar panels on churches and schools and women's shelters and orphanages, and I'm intending on doing hundreds more. Like we're working on a project right now in Mexico, and there's projects that we have in Thailand, done stuff in Costa Rica, done stuff all over Nepal. I mean, literally everywhere, all around the world, Ethiopia, where I've done these philanthropy trips. And, it's really cool to see that a lot of, at least what the internet says, is they want to know more about, how to be a successful spiritual, religious man. Like, how do you do that? So it's interesting, because it's obviously, it's probably taboo to talk about, like, oh yeah, God, especially nowadays, everyone's so afraid to get canceled or whatnot. Like, I don't really care. Like, cancel me all you want. Like, I'm gonna keep going. Like, I don't answer to you. I answer to God. So,
Right.
I'm gonna continue to push forward, even if that's just my neighbor here. Like, I don't need a platform to talk about God. I talk about it within my neighbors as well. So anyways, I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm glad that you're around some other Christian businessmen, and that you guys are running. And obviously our industry is a very spiritual, industry. There's a lot of different religions in our industry. So it's cool to know that another brother in Christ is out there destroying hell and occupying your street. So good, man.
Absolutely.
Good. Tell me about your wife, man. Did you meet her at church, or how did that work? And Victoria, right?
Yeah. So we're married going on 6 years now. We got married super young, right out of high
18
school.
years old. Let's go. Traditional.
Yeah. Yep. So we got married.
Right off the cuff. Let's go, Todd.
Yeah, dude. That's kind of the thing in our religion. It seems like it's not a have to, but for some reason it seems like everybody does. So, but yeah, no. So
I was trying to get married at 18 too. For real.
Right. Yeah. No, it's tough.
So I can have how do they call that? Guilt-free sex. Like I was like, yo, like I'm a one man. I'm a one woman man. Like I don't want to go out and hoe it out. Like I mean, I'm ready to roll.
Right. Yeah. So Victoria, man, she's awesome. I mean, she's helped me so much in everything. We got 2 kids, Rosie and Nash, 3 and 4 years old. So you know, we got married, and we got, she was pregnant. Not soon after we got married. I'd say probably a month after we got married, she got
You got
pregnant.
after it.
Yeah. So yep, that happened. And, but yeah, I mean, she was young. She lived about 3 hours away, from me in the Cleveland area. We met through, actually,
A camp?
we did
I
this,
mean, it was a camp, bro.
well, so I'd known her from camps and things like that, but we officially met through, we were both coaches for, it's Bible quizzing. So there's this thing in where kids go and they do scriptures, and it's like a,
Yeah.
tournament. And, I
That's
saw her and
sick.
I was like, dang, so I was interested right off the rip, and, she turned me down, actually, there at the start, but I'm a natural salesperson, so so I end up getting my way one way or another. So, but yeah, we're 6 years going on married. We got 2 beautiful kids, and, she's awesome. She's helped me a ton, and I'm extremely thankful for her. She's definitely the backbone of our family for sure.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, they say it's kind of funny with this whole like feminist and masculinity top G like argument stuff going around right now with the whole like feminist movement, and now like this whole Andrew Tate thing going on. It's really interesting to see like that like this argument that women are better than men, or women are equal and men are less, or men are not equal. It's like bro, like we're human beings. I don't understand why we have such a problem with just respecting one another in general.
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely not the I'm definitely not the, hey man, you can't love who you want to love guy. Like, I understand, like, I get it, do I think that that's good for the country? Having men marry men and women marrying women. I mean, no. Am I against it? No, I'm not against it. I've got some of my favorite aunts and cousins are gay or lesbian, right? Like they're some of like the best people that I know, generally speaking. Like they're actually like probably one of the funnest people I like to be around is my aunt in California and my cousin in New York. Like my most like favorite people to be around are them, because they're just their mask is off and they're just allowed to be who they are. And I'm like, yeah, like by all means, like you do you. But like, do I think that that's necessarily good for the country? No, because we need to have more children, right? So it's like, we don't have a culture
Right.
unless you can have more babies. So and that kind of doesn't work. Like you can adopt, but you can't procreate at that point. So I think the way that God designed it is so that we can continue to be a generation, right? I say, where's all the kids going to be? Anyways, tell me a little bit. Sorry, there's a little political that I first time in the show that I brought up politics, but I've been told over the weekend that I need to make a stand for what I believe in more. So there I am.
There you go.
There's my,
there you go.
Hey, Cole, there. I just did it for you, Cole. I told you I'd do it, if you're listening. So tell me, so with Victoria, she denied you at first. You guys have 2 kids. So, and you said she's the backbone of the family. So is she working right now, or is she, like the homemaker? Like what does that look like?
Yeah. So she doesn't work. That's been my number one goal. My number one goal is to make sure she can take care of our kids and take care of our home with no stress. Cause I mean, I can imagine me working and having to come home and do it, so I can even imagine how worse it would be if she had to work and then come home and, which there's nothing wrong with husband and wife working. If she was out making 150K, 200K a year and I was out making, great money, then I'd be happy with that, but she does an amazing job, and she's a stay-at-home mom. She worked for like 2 weeks, I think, or maybe 3 weeks. And then when we found out she was pregnant, I was like, yeah, I don't want you working. I want you to be comfortable, stay home, and, have an easier life. So.
Yeah. I think, I mean, where my family's from, Portugal, it's very, I don't want to say it's very different. The women are very strong, and my wife is Portuguese as well. So there is, I am not taking the bit out of my wife's mouth. She is an ox, and she's going to continue to move forward. She wants to work. So I had an idea that was going to be the case, where I was going to be able to, like, put 5 babies in her and like let her be the mom, right? But she doesn't. Not that she doesn't want to do that, but she's not for that right now, at least. So we're working. That's why I asked you these questions, because I'm genuinely curious. I actually want to know, and I'm asking for help. So that's one of the cool things about the masterminds that I'm in. Like I was telling you earlier, I don't really ask them how to make more money. I know how to make more money. You put more money into marketing, you put more money into your culture, you put more money into your teams, you put more money into your people, you make more money, right? Or focus on referrals, focus on your customers, you make more money, expand, whatever, right?
Absolutely.
What I ask a lot more of is around their family life. Cause I want to know, I'm like, hey man, like, I can do business. Like I know that I'm not the smartest guy in the business world. That's why I've got all these books behind me, because I read a lot of books now. I want to know more about how they're creating, synthetic struggle for their children, because, obviously Tristan, I'm sure, did you grow up with a bunch of money, like middle class? Like how did you grow up?
No, no. Another one of my goals is to change like my heritage, change what we came from. We lived in kind of a crazy home. Um, not a lot of money there. Pretty poverty driven, lifestyle that we lived in growing up. Had a rough upbringing, but, it's better now. Obviously I don't live with my parents, but they're doing a lot better now with each other and with their finances and everything like that. So yeah, I'd say that definitely probably had a big impact on where I'm at now as well.
Tell me more about that really quick. Then you said you wanted to change it. So obviously that was one of your motivators, which is something that we'll go through. But like, obviously you've got 2 kids, so I can't imagine that you having 2 kids obviously motivates the heck out of you. Obviously being married motivates the heck out of you, and then you throw in the rough upbringing, wanting to offer your children a quote unquote better life, right, than you were given. Explain to me a little bit about that. Like why better? You know what I mean? Like, have you thought of that deeply? Like, why do you want to give them a better life? Like, what does that result in? Doesn't that create soft men, right? Like, if hard times creates hard men, soft, easy times creates soft men, or whatever that quote is.
Yep. Yeah, so that's probably been the biggest conflict with myself growing up, or as I've had kids, is growing up. Part of, and I'm sure anybody with a similar story to myself growing up, is this is what molded me into who I am today. This is what makes me such a hard worker. This is what makes me so driven, because I've always had to work for it. But also I can also choose, what my kids have, and being able to give them more than what I had. And I'm still trying to find that balance. I'm still trying to perfect that, and I'll let you know when I have. But growing up, we got evicted from a lot of the houses we were in. It's just one of those things where the cool thing is, my dad worked 7 days a week, and he's worked 7 days a week. He's going on 50 years old now, and he's still working 7 days a week. He's just a grinder. My dad's always been. So it was never we didn't make enough money. It was, I think, my parents just didn't have, they weren't incredible with their money. Again, doing better now. But they also didn't really have much people in their life, I don't think, speaking to them and teaching them and things like that as well. So, my dad was a grinder. He taught us how to grind. I feel like we lived kind of like a military type lifestyle as we were younger, where we always were, my dad made sure we were always cleaned up, standing up straight, sitting up straight, and we were working hard. If we wanted to get money for a youth event or a church event, then it was, we're working around the house, or we're doing something to get that money. So he instilled a crazy, crazy work ethic. All my siblings were all very, in our own areas, very, very successful. I have five siblings. So we are all at the top of our game in each of what we do. So my dad definitely instilled that in all of us growing up, even aside from, living in poverty and not having the greatest upbringing in that aspect.
So with Rosie and Nash, a question I like to ask a lot to these guys that are making, net worths over, 9-figure net worths, 10-figure net worths, is that question I asked, or topic I talked about earlier, is the synthetic struggle. So are you doing, what are things that you're doing to make sure that Rosie and Nash don't grow up spoiled little brats?
Yeah. So, and that,
The
again,
world
that's a
isn't
lot
letting
where
us spoiled little brats. So what are you doing?
it's true. Right. So yeah, that's one thing where my wife is extremely good. One thing as well that, we do have an opportunity to send them to a school. So we sent them to school young to learn. And it kind of has more of the Montessori type. It's not a Montessori school, but they kind of lean that way towards that, where the kids are more hands on. And we do try to make sure that our kids, and I'm not trying to parent anybody else's kids, but we don't try to give our kids everything they want. I do try to push them more on what they need. I try to tell my wife, look, when we go to Target, we don't have to get a toy every time we go to Target. Sometimes, we'll go to the store, and there's times I go to the store and I'm like, we're not getting anything. We're not getting anything in the store. I have to almost prep my kids like, look, no matter how much you ask, we're not going to get anything in here. Because it does just get that sense of that mentality where the kids are almost like they just always deserve something when they go inside or any type of store and something like that. And it does have that mindset where you're just like, it's a given that you deserve certain things, and that does create this, like, the spoiled brats. It's a common thing in kids where they always feel like they have to have something or they deserve something when they've not earned it. So I'm trying to raise my kids to earn what they have, work hard for it. That's the biggest thing. Even at a small age, they're 3 and 4 years old, so they don't understand everything yet. But I do force them to be more hands on a lot of things.
Yeah, whenever we'd go in the store, I mean, it wasn't really toys. It was always, I guess, just candy that I wanted
Yeah,
personally.
yeah,
And I got it maybe once a month, if that. But my dad
yeah,
brought us shop. I mean, like, we had 4 kids growing up too. So it was, we were very involved in everything that my mom or my dad was doing. So if we would go to the store, like, everyone would be there, obviously, well, not all the time, because when we got older, I guess we would be able to stay home. But even then, my parents would take us a lot of times so we would not get in trouble, I guess you can
yeah,
say. So yeah, it's interesting. I never really thought about that. I was like, wait a second, people just buy I don't have kids yet, right?
yeah,
Um, but I guess, yeah, you're right. I guess people do buy their kids. And again, the hard thing is right now for me is I don't have kids, so I don't know. Like, it's hard for me not to want to buy something for my dog. I know it sounds weird, but something for my dogs. Like, every time I see like a toy, every time I'm traveling, I'm like, I want to buy them a toy, right? I
yeah.
want to buy them something. It's hard for me not to want to do that. So it's interesting to see that, or to hear that, like, I forgot that people probably have an issue or a problem. I don't want to say it's a problem, but they have a habit of buying their children things when they go to the store every single time, almost getting pushed over,
Absolutely.
not teaching the kids the power of no. Which, again, if you want to transition into that, I'd like to, is talking about our generation and, talking about millennials. Like, so what, the 20 and 30-year-olds right now, I think that there was, like, the worst experiment ever tested on human beings was the participation award. And I'm seeing that because I've hired and fired, thousands of people.
Yeah,
Um, and even tens of thousands of applicants. I've seen that, it's, dude, there is zero favoritism shown in door-to-door sales. I don't care if you're
right.
white, black, Mexican, Asian, whatever the heck. Like, dude, smart, rich, skinny, fat, poor, whatever.
You're right.
There is zero favoritism. It is everything comes down to the amount of work and effort you put in, but it comes back down to the mindset that we have, that we weren't really necessarily trained on that in college and high school. I'm a 3-time college
Right.
dropout. So I did go to college, but I dropped out 3 times. So talk to me a little bit about our generation. Like, how is, what's your idea on, I mean, I'm sure you guys have a good amount of employees or guys that work with you guys, 1099 guys or employees. Yeah.
Right now we have about 15 right now. So
Yeah. Yeah. So a good size office. Are you in charge of any of that hiring or firing like that, or
yeah,
interviewing?
so I've been in a manager role since 2019. So 2019 is I've been managing that whole time. So I've definitely had my fair share of that.
So tell me a little about that. What's your experience like with the current workforce? What's your ideas of the guys that don't make it? Like, where are they at? Why?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, and I can go off my own experience because there was a point where I was a part of that. I was a part of that. I guess I was a statistic because that's what it is now. I'm assuming. So it's really they don't trust the process. They don't give it enough time. They say it's like 10,000 hours or something like that you put in to perfect something. And these guys barely give it a week's worth of trying it out and figuring it out. And honestly, it's a weak mindset. It's just a weakness. I'm the type of person where because of my own self, that I think anybody can do sales. Obviously there's loopholes to anybody. I don't know that anybody can do sales, but if you can talk well and you can read, I think that you can do sales. I think that not only can you do sales, but you can be trained to be very, very good at it. Because I'm somebody who's an extreme introvert. I mean, I quit my first job as a server because I literally was too scared to talk. I had that altercation between myself and the customer was just too uncomfortable for me. And just trusting the process, getting with these guys, their names are Chris and Kyle, who are my mentors, teaching me that, it's kind of like a switch. Like, I can be an introvert and I can be somebody who's uncomfortable, but when it comes to taking care of my family, I flip that switch to where it just doesn't matter what my mindset is. It doesn't matter about the negativity. It doesn't matter who's telling me no. All that I'm here for is to support my family and support myself and make them better. And I think a lot of these kids, they're, between even around my age, they're too focused on them, like blamers. They blame everybody for everything. They don't trust the process. They don't take responsibility. So when they do get out there on these doors and they do call on the phone, or even at McDonald's or wherever they're working, as soon as something goes wrong, their first thing is to point a finger at somebody else. And this is the reason why. This is the reason. And I know that because when I was struggling in sales, when I first started out, the first person I wanted to blame is my job, the company I'm working for, the employees at the job, my managers. When ultimately I never got successful until I really looked in the mirror and I was like, dude, it's you. You are weak, and it took a lot of humbling to get to that point where, you do figure out that you're the culprit, you're the issue in the situation 99% of the time. And that's just what I think these, millennials do have to get a grasp on is it's not the world. It's not the politics. It's not my mom and dad. It's not my brothers and sisters. It's not the education system. It's me, because you choose how you respond. You choose the moves that you make. And I think if you're somebody who's making those decisions, then you're the one who needs to take responsibility for that.
Yeah. One thing I learned, thank you for sharing that. One thing I learned recently that I want to point out that you basically just said there was that I didn't understand this, but that there's not just negative consequences to our decisions, but there's positive consequences to our decisions.
Absolutely.
If you go out and you knock every single day, 6 days a week, you put in 5 to 8 hours every single day knocking doors, like you're going to get, I don't care if you suck. Like, I think my first year knocking on doors, I remember this exact situation. My first year knocking on doors, I was like, dude, I am so bad that I'm going to just ask the next door or the next I'm going to ask the next 5 doors, knock, knock, knock. Hey, you don't want an alarm system, do you? Just so that I could get that out of the way.
Yeah.
What if it's I'm like, it's the pitch, it's my territory, it's the hood, it's where I'm at, it's the company, it's the product, it's the right? And I'm like, no, dude, it wasn't any of that. It was just me. But if you continue to put in the work, it ends up coming out, and it ended up all coming down to where I was at the time. So I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, there's positive and negative consequences to everything that we do.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Malcolm Gladwell, by the way. That's the book Outliers, 10,000 hours thing. Become an expert. I've definitely done 10,000 hours when it comes to door-to-door sales. Getting close to that 10,000 hours with this financial education stuff. Getting there. I'm close to 7,000 now. I've got a few more hours left. I should have that before the end of the year. I'm hoping is the goal. But studying the financial world is a whole new ballgame.
That's awesome.
You just keep, as you level up, you're like, wait a second. it's rigged like this. What? Like, there's no way. Middle class is screwed, bro. We are
Yeah,
absolutely screwed. Like up to $4 million a year, and like we are getting taxed so bad. And it's
yeah,
actually not that bad, according comparing it to other countries. But middle class in America is, I mean, it is, the American dream is dead, bro. That is
right.
not what it used to be for our grandparents and great grandparents.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So cool, man. I don't know, any final words on the whole millennial generation? What is it going to take for the guy? Let's just talk to the guy really quick. That's the guy or girl that's between 20 and 40% in top 20 to 40% of the company. What's it going to take for them to get to the next level of the listeners there?
I told the same thing to Sam Taggart when I was on the podcast with him, is you gotta live with the guarantees, and that's specifically going with the door knockers. Is when you go out and knock these doors, it's a guarantee that you're going to lose more than you win. And when I was talking to Sam, I'm like, Drew Hansen, he's a guy who sold, 1.3 million, sold, crazy amount of sales and all this stuff. And if he would have doubled his sales at the 1.3, you're talking $2.6 million, he still would have gotten told no more than he got told yes. So even at the top of the industry, if I go out and get 30 sales in a day, I can promise you I got told no more times than I got told yes. So that's one of the biggest things with me that I've had to deal with, is just living with the guarantees of life and not looking so easily to use those as an excuse to fail. So that's my biggest word of advice, and advice is live with the guarantees in life and sales and your job and your marriage. There's things that you can't change and that you aren't going to be able to change, but just control the things that you can, and just live with it.
Why do we not want to live with it? Like, why do we so afraid of failure?
I
I
don't
don't
know
like
that it's,
failing. I don't
yeah,
even like knocking on doors, to be honest. I tell people I do,
yeah,
and I technically I do, but when I sit back and think about it, I'm like, I'm a salesman. I'm a closer. Like, I
yeah,
like to close people. I'm not happy about being told to F off or no or go get a real job. Like, yeah,
right,
sure. I've got a bunch of money. I've got a really high net worth. Okay, great. But I'm a closer, bro. I don't like being told no.
right.
Hmm. Awesome. Let's transition back into this year. So you hit Golden Door this year,
Yeah.
895 accounts, virtually 900 accounts. You've got the highest retention in the entire country. That's a feat, bro. That is interesting. How in the world do you have
Yeah.
the highest retention in pest control in the entire company?
And this is, not necessarily has been awarded to me by any specific person, but, I'm more than willing to show my retention. I don't know how many other guys and companies are willing to show their retention and do it. Cause I think that would kind of hurt a lot of Golden Door winners out there. So yeah, I think for me, I'm the only guy, to my knowledge, on the Golden Door stage that, as far as pest control, that's pushing over mid 90s and retention. And I have a lot of things in my corner for that as well. As far as I work for a local business. People just like local. People just like, even if it's like a like an Orkin or a Terminex, if they are in the same city, they like that more. And that's just the biggest thing with us is, we're a local business. We have great service. We're very, very highly rated in our area. I've had a lot of guys tell me, like, bro, you guys are insanely rated in this area. Like, other guys knocking, they'll message me and be like, dude, this is insane. I have people telling me that you guys are they're showing me your ratings, and it's unbelievable. And when I worked for the lawn care company as a manager and even as a salesperson, a lot of my pay came off of my retention numbers. We had to uphold 85+% retention on a service that required no contracts. It's actually in pest control, and really in all the industries we have now, it's an industry standard to have a contract, and I got really good selling 6, 7, 8, 1,000 accounts and retaining 85% of them on a no contract basis, where other lawn care guys are going and knocking on their doors, other TrueGreen guys calling them, and they have no obligation to us other than their word. Hey, yeah, I'll give you a chance. I'll try you out. So building the value on my service is, you know, it's got to be better than most of the country, because I'm retaining such a high number. And half of it goes to me, and I think half of it goes to my company, our marketing model, as well as our technicians and how good they do. The cool thing is with us is we're able to have the same guy out at your house every treatment. That's something Aptiv can't say. That's something Moxie and Terminex and Orkin can't say. I'll have the same guy out unless he's sick or he's on vacation. And he's licensed and he's trained and he does a great job. So that's huge for us.
That is a really big deal. I totally agree with you on that. I think that, what is it, like the 70s? I think this changed. 1976 is when I think this changed. Around that era, around those years, is when we changed from businesses being about like the Costco brand, right? The In-N-Out brand, where it's like, the employees are always right, not the customer is always right. And caring more about the employees, the people that work for the business first, caring about them, because if you care about your employees, then they'll take care of your end customer, right?
For sure.
Changing to, and some companies obviously still do that. Statistic one off. I just saw recently that I read an article in the Wall Street Journal that said that the Facebook and Google just got off of in the last year are no longer on the top companies to work for list anymore. Top 100 companies to work for, something along those lines. So it's it's showing when you don't take care of your employees, take care of your people, the end customer ends up, getting a little pissed off. So anyways, okay. So I know that the generation of taking care of its people to now going to shareholder value, taking care of the shareholders, that really messed up the sales process and the experience that people get when they're buying a service. And pest control, like solar, like roofing, is a service. Like windows, like meat, like real estate, it's a service. Sorry if I missed your entry. I apologize. I'm sure I'm missing a couple. Smart homes. There you go. It's a service. Right. And, you guys make money as a business, not in the first year and a half to even 2 years. You don't even make money until year 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
It's the same thing in alarm systems. They don't make money for the first couple of years. So having that retention, that subscription-based model of a business is super, super important. So, your experience, your level of satisfaction, I call it the ambiance of the customer with the customer, experience, I guess you can say, the ambiance of getting pest control from Essentials Pest Control, obviously is super high. If your retention's that high, it's upwards of high 90s, right?
Mm-hmm. Mid, just over mid.
Yeah, dude, that is, and I believe it. I'm not questioning you at all. I think, my business is 53% referral. People go, 53% referral. How is that possible? I go, I don't know. You want to see the numbers?
Right.
Because I asked for referrals. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah.
How is it? Just because it's not the 4-minute mile, that's not possible. 1,000 accounts. If you would have worked another probably 2 weeks, Tristan, you would have hit 1,000, right? But anyways, I think it's really cool that you have that, the old school, approach to treating your customers with dignity and respect, like they're people, not just a number of subscription. The guys that I coach, I don't treat them. I send them things, gift cards and gifts for Christmas and the holidays and things like that. I treat them as if they're one of my family members. And that's really important. I call just to check in because I want to know how they're doing. I know their wives' names, right? I know their kids' names, and I ask them how they're doing because I want to know, how are you doing? That level of trust that helps gain there is important if you're going to run a business. So hats off to you there and all of your guys' your company. So
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So talk to me about this mindset thing, man. Like this is your second year selling pest control, correct?
Yes.
And you did it, from my understanding, you did it very differently. You didn't get you didn't get door-to-door university. You weren't hooked up with Knock Stars. You didn't call Michael O'Donnell, the Michael O'Donnell sales team, and get taught how to sell this stuff. From my understanding, you were not handed anything other than maybe you went and probably looked up the book Door to Door Millionaire, which I know you did. And, that was pretty much your training. So explain to me that situation. Like, what was going on in your head? I'm going to go sell pest control now. Like what happened? Talk to me about that situation.
Yeah. So I work with these, obviously Chris and Kyle, and they sold a lawn care company. It was a surprise to me. They brought me in, they said, "Hey, let's have a meeting." We were already going to do this business, and this is crazy. Most people would say that, you guys are crazy. So what we did is we sold the company. They called me in the night before the sell, and they said, "Hey, we're selling the companies, and we're going to move into air duct cleaning. We're going to have like a Stanley Steamer type company, and we're going to clean air ducts." And we've never even talked about that. It's like, tomorrow we're starting this. We're going to hop on the cold calls and we're going to start selling air duct cleanings. So my team of about 6 or 7 guys at the time, because we had to lay guys off due to COVID. They wanted us to have like 1 guy per office. So we lay our guys off. They sell the company the next day. It's now, I think, like August, maybe the first day of August. And we sell $600,000 in air duct cleanings from August to December. We just hopped on the phone and did it. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad. Yeah. There's some really, really wacky stuff that comes out of there. Dead animals, crazy stuff. So, good news is I'm just the sales guy, so I don't have to get in there and get any of that stuff out. So, we did that. And then, we had the intention of selling pest control, but we just had to get everything finalized and done. And, we wanted to train ourselves on it a little bit with Door to Door Millionaire. And then they pulled the trigger, and we just went out. So one of my mentors, Kyle, one of the owners of the business, wrote out this pitch that he had pretty much gotten from Door to Door Millionaire. So he used what Door to Door Millionaire had with what he was just kind of reading on the internet, and we formed this like pitch. And I get my tablet and I just go out and start knocking, knowing nothing about pest control. And we didn't even really do many role plays or anything. I just was like, "Hey, here's your tablet, here's a presentation card," and go out and start knocking. So I go out and I start knocking, and I goose egg my first day, which a lot of guys call it a bagel. I call it a goose egg. That's what we call it. And I actually goose egg my first 2 days. Woo. And I'm like, geez, what in the world? Because I've been the best sales guy at this company for the past 5 or 6 years. And so I go out, and I think I finished the week with maybe I got 1 a day the rest of the week. I think like 5 or 6 sales is what I got the rest of the week. I'm selling them really low prices. Yeah. Yeah. Like 1 a day. Yeah. Really, it's rough. I'm sitting here like, wow, I don't understand this. And then I think the second week I do 15 accounts. So I'm kind of getting the hang of it as well. And then we just keep going with the year. We hire a few guys, we start training them. I think last year I ended with 546 accounts, or 2021, 546 accounts, 330K in revenue. I started getting the hang of it towards the end of the year. I think I was averaging about like 20 to 25 sales a week there between August and like October. And then I finished out the year pretty strong. And then we went to Door to Door Con. And that's why, I've been a huge, huge advocate, because I thought I was the stuff going to Door to Door Con. I've never done this before. I did 330K in revenue. That's what some of these guys are doing. They've been doing it for 3 years or whatever. And then I go, and then I'm completely humbled. I go there and I'm like, wow. And then it's cool because this guy comes up to me. He actually worked for the Grit, and he knocks on my door at my house, and I'm talking to him, and I'm going over, and he obviously shows me the Grit and all their stuff. And he shows me, the golden, and I start looking into it, and then I find Sam Tagger, and this is now August and September. I've never even heard of Door to Door Con, Sam Tagger. I've never heard of any of these guys. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I text Chris and Kyle, and I'm like, hey, we got to go to this Door to Door convention. This is sweet. It's thousands of door to door guys just like us. And, so we fly out. We made the decision like 2 weeks before, so we paid high price for the tickets and everything. So we fly out, we get there, and I'm overwhelmed with how little I really was compared to all these people. And it's not that I thought they were so much better than me, because the whole reason I went for getting a golden door is I looked at the guys on the golden door stage and I see these guys and I'm like, none of those guys are better than me. That was my mindset, because I am a very competitive person, and I'm looking at these guys and I'm just like, I can beat these guys. So by the time door to door con's over, I've already navigated what I have to do per day, per week, per month, everything to, by the end of the year, by the end of my knocking season, this is exactly what I have to do to get a golden door. And then about 2 weeks later, they up the golden door about $150,000. And I'm like, oh shoot, I had this plan of hitting what these guys hit and 500K. Now I have to literally double my revenue from what I did my first year. And but I just had a goal in mind. I was like, all right, look, I was at the little training things they had at Door to Door Con. We've still at this point had no training other than what we've done. But I just had a goal that, like, each day I go out, I'm not leaving until I hit my goal. If it's 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or whatever, I will stay out. And I prepped my wife when I got home. I'm like, look, things are about to change. My job was flexible last year. I went out and I was knocking, like, last year I think I knocked about between 4 and 5 hours a day, just very little knocking time. And even this past year, I think I only knocked 8 hours, maybe, like, I can count on one hand how many times I knocked 8 hours. But I stayed out until I hit my goal, whether that was 6 hours, 5 hours. And then obviously if I'm having a huge day, I'm not going to leave. I'm not that guy where I'm like, my goal's 5 and I get 5 in the first hour. And then I'm like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to stick around at least the times that we knock, but yeah, I just had that mindset where these guys can't beat me. And these guys aren't better than me. But they are the best of the best, and I was definitely inspired by all the guys on the door-to-door stage for sure. I mean, that was extremely inspiring, seeing those guys up there and at the top of their game, and they're hustlers, and they drove me to work harder. And I appreciate that more than anything. All those guys last year on the door-to-door stage, and Sam Taggart putting that on, because I would not have gotten a golden door this year had I not went to door-to-door con. It would have never happened. I don't believe it would have happened. So.
Yeah, it's really cool. I interviewed a couple guys yesterday, and they were talking about they were just talking about pace setters, and I was intrigued by that, because we call that in solar, we call that the sales rabbit. So the sales rabbit would go out and sell between 10 and 12 deals consistently every single month. Was never really the top guy in the office, but always would sell 10 to 12 deals every single month. And that pace setter, they usually got paid a little bit better, because that's all they had to do. Was their main focus was continue to put 10 to 12 deals on the board every single month consistently. That's all you do. Not all you do. There was other stuff there too, but that was pretty much all they did. So how obviously with learning about the grid and on Hawks and all these other companies, how much did you follow these guys on Instagram this year? Is that something that, like, because I don't know about you, but from my understanding and all the listeners, we don't know much about pest control guys, because they're not really posting during the summer. They don't really post that much, because they're freaking working all day, every day. So you guys go like dark for like 5-6 months, and 4 months is that working, 1 month is that recovery, the other month is like recovery light, and you're like, all you're doing is recruiting all day long for that next month, and then you start posting on the internet again. Then we're like, oh, we'll get all the Tristan's back. So talk to me about, like, a pace setter or sales rabbit. Like, how much did that play? I know that you just said, like, obviously seeing that for on stage, is that what it took, or was it still something throughout the year that it took you to, look over your shoulder and see these guys? Or was it just like, hey man, I saw it on stage and I'm good to go?
Yeah, so I picked a few guys. I won't name them, but I picked a few guys on the stage specifically that I wanted to hang with, that I specifically wanted to beat. Just I had already talked to them before, and I just saw them. At first, my goal was to keep up with Drew Hansen. That was my goal. I thought that's something I could do. I had his whole year on my lock screen, and I was like, each day I'm going to do slightly better. And then I just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? ultimately I'm competing with myself. I'm not competing with Drew Hansen or Cody Olive or any of these top guys in the industry. I'm competing with myself because these guys have been doing it a really long time, a lot longer than I have. So ultimately, they are going to be better at the trade. I'm a firm believer as like a brand new guy's not going to come in and beat me. I don't care how. I don't. There's just not going to happen. Same thing with those guys. Me being a second year rep, I'm not going to come in and probably do 1.3 million in revenue or 2 golden doors or anything like that. But I can be double better than myself, and I can grow 50%, 100% than what I was last year. So I definitely kept up with those guys. The grit, obviously, and most companies post what their guys are doing. And I didn't go dark or anything like that, but I did keep up with their numbers and things like that. And I met a few guys out in the field here in Ohio that were here from wherever they're from, and they were knocking. And I got their information and I kept up with them. But ultimately, my pacemaker was myself. I knew what I had to do specifically to get a golden door, and I think if you keep up with other people, and this is one thing that Chris, one of my mentors, has always said to me is you'll never get anywhere driving off motivation. Your motivation cannot drive you, because if it does, you'll never get to where you're wanting to go. Because motivation only lasts so long. I mean, for me, I'll wake up and then I'll go to bed and I'll be like, dude, I'm getting 30 accounts tomorrow, bro. I'm psyched. I'm ready. I'm doing this. I wake up on my way to work and I'm like, bro, I don't even know if I can do this today. I don't my motivation's gone overnight, and I'm sure everybody's that way. So I run off of discipline. And I think discipline's not something that's necessarily taught or passed down or trained on. I think discipline is kind of just like Nike. It's like, just do it. I just did it. I was like, all right, I'm making a pact with myself that I'm not stopping until I hit a golden door. If it's December 31st and it's freezing and snowing, I'm hitting a golden door because I said I would. And I just had a lot of things counting on me hitting a golden door that just, just a million things that were counting on me hitting a golden door that I just could not miss it. So I had to do that, and I had to get rid of motivation, which is great. Motivation's awesome. I had a lot of motivation this year, but had I just strictly driven off motivation, that would have been really tough for me to hit a golden door strictly off that.
It's really interesting. You said a couple of really good things there. So you had some really good, you had some good motivation as far as comparison goes. I think, you can use comparison. I talk about that in a lot of my courses and all over the internet, that, comparing is really, really good. But comparing can be, if it's used like a pencil, okay, a pen, like I could, stab you with this and, it could be used for harm, right? Comparison's the same way. Used in the right fashion, it can be the best thing ever as far as motivation goes. I'll give you one example. My ex-girlfriend, who I thought was going to marry at 18 years old, my ex-girlfriend's parents will wake up one day, and it might have already happened, I don't know, but will wake up one day, see Mikey Lucas on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, more than likely LinkedIn, because they're like business professionals and whatnot. It's like the COO of some major company. And wow. Will look at me one day and be like, wow, we were wrong about that Mikey kid. And so that was the motivator initially when I got sober in 2012. That was the initial motivator, one, to keep me sober, and to get me sober, and then two, to keep me sober for the few years after that. And then that kind of pittered out. And then it was getting into business. That motivator came back up, and that's just one but that's a very strong motivator that worked for me. Now, other times it was competition within offices, or, hey, look, for instance, in 2018, a business partner and I broke up, and I was like, dude, we're going to go do more than that guy did. And I was like, dude, there's no way I can do this. I actually hired Sam to coach me. I got into his mastermind and all that, and hired Dave Allred in Sam Taggard's like little program that he had. And I ended up doing, I think it was like an additional like $100,000 than that company did. We did that previous year. So I beat the numbers that we had. So like those motivators, the comparisons, those comparison games are great. Where it goes wrong is when you start comparing yourself. Like I just actually read in an article the other day. somebody that was a roommate, somebody was comparing themselves to the roommate. Like, hey, like I'm not doing as good as my roommate is. And, he's like, the guy's like 85 years old or whatever. He's like old now. Right. And, he's like, yeah, my roommate, is doing a lot better than I am. And, I'm depressed because of that. His roommate was Elon Musk. And he's like, yeah, you and like 7 other billion people are not doing as good as Elon Musk right now. Like using comparison in the right area is great, but comparing yourself to, if you're not comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, in other words, the biggest motivator, if I could leave one tip here, would be the biggest motivator, the biggest comparison that you should be using is compare yourself to who you were yesterday and who you were last year, not to who, for instance, Drew Hansen is, what Drew Hansen's doing right now, or for instance, Michael O'Donnell, who's going to be, I think, is a triple Golden Door Award winner this year, or Ricardo Ricci, who's a triple Golden Door Award winner this year. The guys that are installing 500 something accounts this year. Like, that is bizarre for someone to go and be like, yeah, I'm going to go from 60 accounts a year to triple Golden Door doing 500 accounts. Like, that is, it's destructive. Like, how does that help you? Like, you're like, I'll never amount up to this. I suck. Like, bro, you just made $400,000 a year installing 100 deals a year. Like, you do not suck. Like, to do 100 deals a year is really, really hard. Like, to do a 900 accounts in a year, Tristan, is not easy to do. But if you can compare yourself to these other guys or whatever, like, it's like, well, I suck. I'll never be that good. Like, no. So I think that's something that you said there that really stuck out to me. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I need the listeners need to understand that. If you didn't hear that, go back to that and re-listen to that. It was really good. Any final words on that? Thoughts?
No, I think so.
Cool. Let's talk about discipline. You said disciplined is, let's talk about discipline. What does discipline mean to you?
Yeah. So discipline for me, it's hard because I look at my guys that I'm training and I'm like, how do I get these guys more disciplined? And it goes back to you and where you got to make that decision. So part of me being disciplined was showing my guys and them being able to do it, because if I don't hit a golden door, then for my guys, it's impossible. For anybody who comes to this company after me, they're going to look at something like that and say, dude, there's no way I can hit a golden door. So that was a huge driver for me this year as well. But discipline there's just a bunch of different avenues on discipline. Like, one of the things I talked about was, not leaving your route early, not leaving your area early. And when you get out of the car, you're out of the car. I don't take breaks when I'm knocking. I don't hop back in my car, turn the AC on, turn the heat on, because it's easy for me just to run to the gas station, go to the bathroom real quick. I'm now in the gas station. I'm walking around. I'm looking at little snacks and talking to people, and then I hop back in my car, and then I get to the field, and I'm like, dude, it's hot outside, bro. And I gotta let the Red
Bull kick in, bro. Wait for the Red Bull to kick back in. I gotta wait another 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah, no, and you eventually are then you start scrolling on your phone, you get messages, you're responding to people and stuff like that. And I'm like, and guys don't want to ride with me. Guys are like, dude, I don't want to ride with him because I might not be able to go to the bathroom if I ride with Tristan. I mean, I'm out all day. And for me, I'm like, dude,
is there a bunch of trees out
there? There's some, but what I do is I just look, if I sell somebody, I'm just going to say, hey, by the way, can I use your bathroom?
Yeah.
Hey, if I'm thirsty, then hey, can I get a bottle of water if I sell somebody? Get better at sales, start asking people to use their bathroom and stuff.
So upsell them into using their bathroom, bro. What are you doing?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I
add that to your contract value.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Put that in the terms, but yeah, I'm super, super strict on my discipline as far as like, if I say I'm doing something, then I'm going to do it. Then at that point, if it leaves my mouth, that's why I'm extremely, extremely meticulous on how I say my goals and when I say my goals and at what volume, because I will hold myself to those things, and discipline is just holding yourself accountable, I think. And when you have a goal, don't, like, if my goal is a golden door, I'm not going to get halfway through the year and be like, well, I'm not really on pace, so I'm going to just let's go 500K. Since that was the original golden door, I'll be happy with doing 170,000 more than what I did this year. I'll be happy with that. And to be honest, there was a lot of times through this year where I was like, dude, I'm not going to hit a golden door. It's not going to happen for me. And I'm thinking that, of course, I'm not verbally saying it out loud and talking to my guys about it. I'm still coming in and being positive and be like, all right, guys, I'm doing this today. But I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, bro, I'm behind. I'm way behind, and just leaving that with the day before was huge for me. And I think that's a big discipline thing too, is not carrying over yesterday's issues and yesterday's performance into today. Because ultimately, whether you're Drew Hansen or Zach Seeger or myself, Monday, we all start at zero. Tuesday, we all start at zero, and so on and so forth through the week. So did Drew Hansen get 1.3 million? Yeah. But today, me and him are both at zero. So it just doesn't really matter what we ended with yesterday or what was going on yesterday or how bad of a day I had in this route yesterday. The discipline in me is going to shut that off. And the first door is the first door. If you give me doors and people, I'm going to make money. That's just the way it works.
You said something there earlier. You said discipline by choice. So would you define your golden door year as discipline by choice then?
100%. Yeah, because I had it in me to hit a golden door, and I chose. You know what I mean? I could have went out and just had another great year where I did 400K or 450K or even 500K, and really the industry would look at that and say, "Bro, that's an insane year. That's a huge year." Nobody would have known that I didn't hit a golden door. So I had to choose, in a sense, to have integrity with myself, knowing that, dude, you've got to do this. No matter how hard it got, no matter how far behind I was, I'm going to choose to keep that goal and keep my discipline each day, getting out of the car, leaving at the right times and leaving and just having that integrity with myself is the biggest. Because again, you're competing with yourself ultimately. And Drew Hansen has no idea what I'm doing throughout the year. These guys have no idea what I'm doing. And honest to God, they probably wouldn't even know if I was on the Golden Door stage or not this year. They wouldn't even recognize. So I'm the one who has to make the decision to have the discipline and do it. And that's the only way that it will happen, really.
And you will be on stage this year, which is pretty cool.
Right.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. That was a nugget. Rewind that about 3 minutes and go re-listen to that. All right, bro. Let me transition a little bit. I'm gonna do my best to land the plane here. Talk to me about some of your end goals. What is Tristan Smith end goal?
My end goal is to, because I feel like I'm in the business of helping people. I think, I do love sales. I like getting big fat checks and taking care of my family, but my guys that I work with and Chris and Kyle, my mentors, and growing this business. And, I like to think I'm the guy that's unrecruitable, because I'm not here for the fat checks. I'm not here for the percentages and the overrides. I'm here to make my guys as much money as possible. And like my mentors for me, a fat check is seeing my mentors say, "Bro, we're proud of you. Like, dude, you're killing it. You're everything that we poured into you and more and what we expect." So I think, for me, I'm not chasing millions of dollars. Obviously, money is a product of your work. I'm not in this for money. Like this year, I can't even tell you how much I made. I mean, I'm sure I could calculate it, but I wasn't here for money. I was here for a golden door. So that's my end goal, is to help my guys catapult this company and build an empire. I want to be the best. I want this company to be the best. I want to be able to expand it and do bigger things with it. My 5-year goal for me is I do, and I've not really vocalized these goals yet, but my personal goals are, I want to do like 3,500 sales this year with my team. I'm going to try to do about 800K in revenue, about 1,000 accounts. I'm going to try to, that's going to be my goal this year. Ultimately though, if I don't hit a golden door, I don't care. That's not my goal this year. My goal was to go hit a golden door this year. And then next year, I'm going to focus on making my guys hundreds of thousands of dollars, and make that my goal. And then I'm going to try to win a golden door in solar as well. We're starting a solar company. We're working through Titan. We're not selling, like Titan is doing the panels, but we're the salespeople. for our own company. It's called Essential Solar. So we love the name Essential. That's like our little tag there. So Essential Solar, it's going to be here in Ohio. And, I've got something to prove in solar. 99% of Ohioans don't have solar. And to go out and win a golden door in two industries in the exact same backyard that's my goal. And I believe I will hit it with the same type of discipline I had for pest control. So I'm going to do that. And then I do want to build my own brand. I want to coach people. I would love to connect with people who can help me get into coaching and helping people, because I want to help these guys and other local businesses that maybe their company doesn't have a golden door winner, and they don't have to leave their company and go to these big marketing firms and these big companies where they have all the cool stuff. you know I want them to be able to do it, because part of me is like, dude, could I go work for the Grit? Could I go work for these guys and work with Drew Hansen and do this and probably win a golden door? Yeah. But at that point, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I had so much help. Yeah, I had so much help doing that and hitting that, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with moving and making moves and doing all that stuff. But for me, it was, I want to win a golden door just because I want to win a golden door, and I'm going to do it where I'm at. And I think a lot of people do make the moves to be successful, and I'm all for that. But the moves I made was just to be the best version of myself. And I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I crushed my goal. I did a little over. I actually hit my golden door several weeks before my original plan to hit it. So, that's my main thing, is in the long run, is support my family. Money's just a byproduct, I guess I should say, a byproduct of my hard work. And if I'm doing the right things and then it'll work out for me, and the money will be there in the end. So I want to be, in all aspects, the best version of myself over the next 5 decade and however long it takes for that. So.
No, that's pretty clear, bro. I like that. I'm excited to see you hit a double service golden door. So that's that's definitely possible. It's happened, and you're absolutely able to do that. You're gonna get it this year, dude. You're gonna go sell apparently it's gonna move up to 150 deals. So you're gonna hit those 150 deals in solar. And Titan's a great company. Love them or hate them, they made me a millionaire. So I've done a lot of deals with Titan, thousands of deals with Titan. So
2024 is my solar year. That'll be my solar year. So this year I'm gonna build the pest control up to where I can leave and make a move to solar. And
awesome.
And then 2024, I believe, will be my year for a golden door and solar.
Yeah, bro, you need to hit that 1,000 this year. Then no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just hit the 1,000 from the front. I know how hard it is. I've done it, but you need to just do it that way. Just hit the 1,000, lead from the front, hire out VAs, become more efficient, become more effective, and automate some of the systems to be able to get guys to do more of their job.
Yep.
If you want to jam more on that app offline, I'll show you exactly what I did. I'm an open book, so if you want to see what I did and how I do it, I'd love to show you that. So we're not competition. I don't run a sales company anymore.
Right.
Well, dude, it's been a pleasure. Tristan, you're an outstanding individual. I'm looking forward to jamming with you here over the next over the next year, watching your journey hit those 1,000 accounts, and and then eventually get into solar. Is there anything else that you want to share to the Golden Door Award winners out there?
Man, just keep pushing. Lead your team. Lead by example. I have a picture up here in my office where it's a boss over top of a leader. The boss is leading from the back. All the guys are pushing, pulling the carriage, and the leader's in the front, and pulling with his guys, and the carriage is in the back, and they're pulling the carriage. And that's exactly what you got to do. I've been in a manager role where I've been very comfortable, and I've had years where I've made a lot of money and not had to do much, where I've been out knocking the doors. But this past year was a different thing for me. So lead from the front, stay positive, and remember your guys are going to follow suit in anything that you do. So if you're negative and you're letting the excuses roll out and you're a blamer, believe me, the guys following, the girls following behind you are going to follow suit. So just try to lead by what you expect your guys to do and you expect them to follow up with.
That was fire. That was fire. Well done, Tristan. Well done. Where can we find you at, man? How can everybody support you and follow you on the socials?
Yeah. So Tristan Smith, that's my Facebook, obviously, and T Smith _55. You can follow our Essential Pest Control or Essential Pest Sales page. It's on my follows, and I always tag them on my stuff. But that's where you're going to be able to see our guys growing and our updates, as well as my own and just kind of my journey. And then just be on the lookout for a 2024 Solar Golden Door winner.
Let's go. We'll see you on stage, brother. All right, my man. Appreciate your time here. I hope everybody got an outstanding nuggets out of this and is going to go implement that. So, Tristan Smith, man, thank you for your time. God bless you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Love what you're doing. Appreciate it. You too.
Appreciate it, brother.